Woo! What's going on, y'all? What's going on, y'all? Did a little recording yesterday. What's going on? What's going on? I know everybody's on their bullshit. I know everybody's on their bullshit. This is just a morning, you know, little get up, morning get up. But I'm about to head out later. Yeah, just to kick it with y'all. The sun beaming, skin the sun. Whew. Done cool. Well, it done warmed up a little bit from that snow we had. It was cold yesterday. Yeah, this new time done got. I want to speak on daylight savings. I want to speak on daylight savings. I want to speak on daylight savings. I know it came from World War I. I found that out when I was in the workplace. And man, this new time done got everybody done screwed up. What's gone, man? What's gone? And it's just like when I look at this time, I mean, we get extra daylight, right? I mean, this spring is going to be, woo. I think March Madness is going to be jumping. I don't know what teams is in it because I haven't paid attention to it. I might have to look around. Got to watch some sports like tonight or something like that, see and get some updates because there's some good teams out there. But that draft, that NBA draft and NFL draft is gonna be something else too because we'll know what players we're gonna get. Speaking of sports, I just heard Tom Brady done came back. I'm not surprised. I knew he wasn't gonna go out like that because that's typical Tom Brady. I've seen several YouTube clips and videos him saying they try to say just leave already, but no, that motherfucker was trying to get 10. I said this on a panel last year. He may get 10 or eclipse that quarterback that from the Bears or something like that had 10 world championships. That's what he's trying to do. He gonna do something they ain't never done before. And that's not easy to do. I mean, he's in his 40s. Mind you, he's in his 40s. You know what I'm saying? Okay. But I've noticed something. I find it odd that he's still playing, and I don't know what type of style. This is the last of the relics of great NFL players. But him and LeBron, because they're trying to prepare the high schools coming to the pros. I think I said this. Was it? It was last year. It was last year. I think me and Wacky talked about this on the panel. We said he said the NBA is trying to get tired at one and done, which is true. They're still doing it, but eventually they're going. I think this year, I think they're gonna let high school players come to the draft, and I believe so. Yeah, they're gonna start getting them instead of the one and done because the NCAA is losing money. That goes for both sides of the sport. So the NFL is doing the one and done thing, which is great. I'll help them out. But eventually they're gonna get to the high schools. They want those superstar like players because see, LeBron's at that age, he's in decline mode. Let me tell you first thing about drafts and stuff. It may not happen the first 2 years when they implement it back. They did this before in the 90s when Kevin Garnett and Kobe Bryant. So what they're trying to do is they're gonna test it for the next 2 years. It's gonna continue. See, the first year has to be good, but the next year is gonna be crazy. You don't know who's gonna be the best in the 2023 draft on both leagues. So what's gonna happen is they're gonna be astonishing players that you think they're gonna be Hall of Fame worthy. So a lot of times you just gotta look at it like this. A lot of players, as you see today, these kids that we saw growing up that had skills, they're the players today. So when we watch them when they're young, they had talent. It's just no question. It's just they found a way to get into the pros. See, the pros is kind of like politics. You pick and choose who the best players is, and that's just what it is, man. A lot of people they just want to come around and think they're not the stars. But the way the leagues are going, it is shooting in the NBA. It's finesse. NFL's super finesse. It's all about the offense, not about the defense. Because the last Super Bowl was a mix between, I would say, offense and defense. Even though the penalties saved the Rams. Let's just keep it real. The Rams ain't going back because that team's broken up because of Donald and things like that. And Russell Wilson will not be on that team, so he's with the Broncos, the team that I like in the AFC, even though they're rivals, the Raiders. But I'm a big Eagles fan out of all those three teams. So it's gonna be very interesting. The NFC is gonna be very easy. I'm gonna tell you that right now. Tom Brady may go back because anything that's easy in that fucking conference, it's not good. Because that means Tom wants to chip this time. See, he gonna get that. He gonna get that payback. But the AFC, I already know who the AFC is. Chiefs, Bengals, Titans, Bills. Should be Ravens, but we're gonna leave that alone. And Steelers, they're not going. I don't see them. They're a waste. It's a lot of teams is going down, but the AFC is getting better. But those teams are gonna get better over time. So yeah, the draft's gonna be good for both leagues. NFL draft's gonna be crazy next month because I already know who the players is gonna be. I have to watch that shit, watch it fully. But the NBA draft, ridiculous. I don't know who the top player is in the NBA or the young man that's gonna be in the NBA. So the NBA is kind of loose right now. You got Ja Morant doing very well. You got a lot of teams doing well. You got some just doing bad, but that's the season. After the All-Star break, everybody's on fire. I can't wait. It's a whole nother story. So yeah, man, like one thing I can tell you, you just gotta look at it for what it is. So I was saying like this in the morning check-in. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna just stream today because I already did a pre-record from yesterday. Um, I'm gonna talk some Bears a little bit. A lot of people's upset, and I call it a religion. It's no need to be upset. I mean, it's the truth. I mean, I see this a lot. But you gotta understand the sports world is kinda it's on point, despite the Ukraine shit, despite most of those players going overseas to fight for their country. Shouts out to the Ukrainians. They're brave. I don't see how they can do it. I don't see how they can do it, man. I mean, we could call them barbarians all day. We can insult, say, "Oh, this they over there just acting tough." But you know what's so funny about the Klitschko brothers? I saw this on France 24 Network, the English version of France. They World News, whatever. They was up there proud patriots, proud patriotism. They had their fatigues and everything for Ukraine, right? They gonna be heroes too, along with Zelensky if they keep this shit up. Yeah, a lot of people say Ukraine ain't gonna be allies. Bullshit. They got protection, but should I say hidden protection? We ain't talking about no NATO. We talking about secret governments protecting their ass. They ain't going nowhere. A lot of people say Putin's gonna win this war. No, he can't. He can't win on the ground. He can win in the air, but he can't win on the ground. He can't win guerrilla warfare. I heard Russians was gonna get some Syrians to help them fight, make it interesting. But the Syrians, they move too damn slow. They better knock this shit to help Russia to gain some territory. There's so many stories on all sides of the news because all of this bullshit. Because we already know Putin's not gonna last long. He can't. He can't. All these leaders that go against America and they make deals with them, you know what happens to them? They end up dying. This is staging for his death. See, the oligarchs are gonna die too, along with him. So this is a removal of them. If Russia loses this war, it's it. That means America's gonna have like an internal war, like what you'll say, like in a World War III sense, or in or should I say Armageddon? I wouldn't even call World War III because War on Terror is considered World War III to me. But this is War Armageddon. Once they start hitting nukes in certain areas, a lot of people say it's gonna destroy the world. No, it's gonna destroy different parts of the world. We got nukes too because we cheat from the air and angles. since we got secret governments, that's what's going to deter the whole thing. So, as long as we have that, you'll never beat this country. Where do you think the guns come from? Hmm? See, Ukrainians don't really need help. They just all they had to do is just destroy them by force. Even though they'll lose on the air, but they got the ground game. So you got to win the ground game because once you win the ground game, they could do some artillery shit, and I think America's gonna hit them some nukes in the future. I think it's gonna be a long war. I don't know about that guy. What he said on France 24. He said that it was a guy said it's gonna be a long war. It's gonna be 15. No, it's not. If Putin does not get what he wants, if he start hurting the crowd and the military, that means this shit's over because he's about to be overthrown. And it'll be what you saw was Saddam Hussein. It's a repeat of history. It's like if he goes, that country dies. It's gonna take a 5 to 10 years to get where they at. Russia will be backed, but they'll be what it is. What's going on, Nadia? Yeah, you had an interesting stream yesterday, Nadia. I had to cut out. I was watching Information Man and everybody. I was drained with this new time. Man, woo! Feel it in my shoulders, feel it in my half beard. Let me stop. But you know what I'm saying? But yeah, man. Yeah. It's just what it is. I mean, a lot of people just look at it like it's crazy. But yeah, yesterday was it was incredible. You know, we talked about what it was, man. Like everybody's worrying about the Ukraine stuff. Like those Ukrainians are brave, man. Those people that left, they ain't meant to fight. But the ones that are, they stood there for the country proud. You had church folks still praying during conflict. It's just what it is. They feel so cerebral out here. Like I don't see how they can do it, but they're brave, man. Like I can't hate on the country that's willing to kill and survive this shit. Phew. I mean, them Ukrainians is tough. We don't know, man. Oh, not a problem. Not a problem. I always gonna support. But yeah, I had to support Information Man. He had a new show and they was talking about that Smollett character. But I mean, let me ask y'all a question. What is so great about him? I never got in the gist of what's his name, Jesse Smollett. Did he lie for real? That dude is a weirdo, man. Like he's a weirdo. Like he's one of them dudes that you saw from school, want to be seen and be cute, flexing on people and shit, talking shit, trying to say these niggas ain't shit. And he have his chest poke out like he's a gorilla and shit. Like, what's so great about that motherfucker? Like he's nobody. To me, he's nobody. I'm like, what Jesse? The fuck? And he look like Jesse Jackson's nephew or some shit. He's a narcissist. Yeah, he's a narcissist and an idiot at the same time. Got caught. A dumbass. I just finished your replay with Shar and Sheep, and it was dope. Yeah, it was. The reason I did that, Nadia, it was I was on the top of the head. I got tired of seeing all this trauma bonding. And I'm like, I had to ask this question: is it a religion? And I said to myself, it is. It's something what Saruya said on my live stream last year. And yes, she said he needs to put in population in Cook County, but he's not apologetic and not sincere. Yeah, of course, he's the type that's not sincere, but he's savage with it. And it's just what it is. And I think most people are tired of the fact that he is one of those dudes. And that's just what I'm saying. Like I never understood the fact that why people still talk about him. Like he's something great or some shit. That's just crazy, bro. And then again, it's just like I see this all the time. Most people just don't care. They don't care. And I think most people just like, all right, we here now, we're good. And it's just what it was. So again, like, you know, they should have just offed him a long time ago. But yeah, man. But screaming in the court, shaking my he's forever acting mode. Like, nigga, you going to Cook County. Ain't no acting roles in there. But one, don't drop the soap. Exactly. Well, he probably don't need to drop the soap. He's gonna take it willingly. Ain't no such thing as dropping soap. No, you gonna take it willingly and come out and terrorize everybody else. That's the fucked up thing. If they let this nigga out, a lot of people get turned. We hear about this all the time. We see it all the time. It's embarrassing. Don't bring him back to the church. Don't bring his ass back to the church. Sound like my mom's dog howling. It's all right. It's a schnauzer barking. Don't mind him. My mom's dog uh, would bark at him every up here when I'll be babysitting. Tell him shut his ass up. His grandfather was a fool on that court too. Yeah, he was. Yeah, it's just like, what's the point? Like I saw that yesterday by information, man. I was like, why talk about a guy? Like I understand he's a hot topic, but I never got that vibe from like, why talk about a guy that's I know we know he's a toaster oven, like what the advisor would say. And it's just like my nigga, you're on that same sexual shit. But it is what it is. But I think the most part, you just got to look at it. He's I only saw the clip up here somewhere supporting someone's stream. Otherwise, I don't care about this ordeal. Yeah, yeah. Information Man was like, I was looking at that. And he had a good stream, and then I was watching art, painting or drawing. Keep it techie. That was a good stream. Morning. Hell, Gray Skull. Oh, hell, Gray Skull Degenerate. What's going on, man? What's going on? It is what it is, man. Like I said, it's just what it is, man. So some people just look at it different. And when I look at that, I was like, that's the type of shit I talk about. Like I thought he should have been gone. But you know what I'm saying. But most people they're gonna pick and choose who they're gonna listen to. Like I said yesterday, it's a lot of churches out here, and what I said yesterday was very valid. Like I'm gonna speak in depth of it today because I'm gonna feel like most people why I had the gist of talking. I could have explained it further in 3 hours. I said, nah, it was a good conversation between me and this one. And then Shar was trolling with the name Nicki Minaj. That was Shar. And she had a good stream last night too. I saw like all the way almost through because I fell asleep on the tail end when she got to that part with Michi X. To me, she's an attention. I want to say attention whore. I don't mess with her though. I mean, she sounds decent, but she's just an old butthurt that used to be cool with moist Twatkins. That's all I'm gonna say on her. That trademark shit is stupid. I mean, let me tell you, there's a lot of things to trademark, but the FBA, if he trademarked the apparel, Tariq won that trademark with the apparel, but the heritage, she didn't get that. She looks stupid doing that. If I was her, you better sit your ass down. Just stick to Boyce Watkins and stop worrying about Tariq, because Tariq's gonna win that. She gonna lose that. Something tells me she used to be a former scammer, and I agree with G Dizzle. There's a video of him, G Dizzle, G Lowry was saying about her. She's off the handle and she's nothing but a hood rat that wants attention. He said that. It's not my words. That's what he said. I found that on YouTube somewhere. I was watching that Saturday and he said that's a hood rat. Just want attention. So it's old shit that she's talking about. So there's no hate towards her. Yeah, she's close friends with Tommy. But she's fucked up in the head though. Like she wants all the attention. I know her type. I know her type. She's the type that wants everything, but it's gonna backfire. It's gonna happen. She gonna go off when she don't get what she wants. She's one of them types. She ain't gonna do nothing with it. That's why nobody's not gonna take her seriously. No, the people that follow her, they brainwash. She's the way it is. She has an awesome live last night. Talking about Char. Yeah, she did. Talking about her. Has a long criminal back. Yeah, she's done. That's why I can't take her seriously. And Tommy brought it out, and then they made up. Yeah, yeah, she's done. She's one of those women that's gets lobotomized every time, and she's mad at old shit. If I was her, I'll say advice if I ever talk to her in person. I said, if I was her, I'd leave that shit alone. Just go after Moist Twatkins. That FBA shit, just leave it alone. Like she's on that ADOS shit. Nobody cares about that. She failed. Nobody's not gonna subscribe to that bullshit. Cause Tariq, he's got a following. He's got nut riders. When I say nut riders, they love. It's like AM and everybody else. It's like religion. You know, when you have yes men, they're blessed in this area. And that's one of the reasons why I don't take this stuff seriously, because a lot of dudes, when they get a lot of yes men, that's a glorified echo chamber. I'm going to explain that further, what I mean by that, and why there's a lot of yes men around. And it's always going to be a problem when we talk about trauma bonding or glorified echo chambers as part of the trauma bonding clique. It's a religion. It's hard to get rid of it. You know what I mean? When folks last talk fast, and hell, we see you far away with that skimmy scam vibes move around. Yep, I was in that live, and he did degenerate. It was funny. Tariq the Sheets fanboys are ridiculous. Yeah, they are. They're worse than any fanatics I've ever seen in my life. But Kwame's is definitely worse, and this is what hurt him a little bit. But a lot of people just don't understand that a lot of people just love fanatics. Fanatics, they bring damage to your content. That's why I was attacking a certain individual that was a fan of Angry Man, but he's got a lot of fans and nut riders and they don't challenge him. That's why he's got an echo chamber. Let me tell you something about me. My shit's not an echo chamber. I'm gonna tell you a secret. People challenge me on my shit all the time. They say something in the chat, panels. I done got my feet tested. Everywhere else I get challenged and I throw it right back at them. Never fold it. I think Auntie was trying to talk about sports to me, and I bodied his ass on the Michael Jordan shit. Like he didn't know what he's talking about. And that Green Bay bullshit. He tried to do that over at Juan G's. Nigga, know your place, bruh. No one gives a fuck about Green Bay outside of the Packers. Let's just keep it 1,000, nigga. You have poor understanding how things work. Those cities ain't shit without a certain brand. Fuck a brand. It's what they're known for. Cities not known for teams, they're known for something. They have paramounts. See, New York's got a lot of paramounts where they come from as the Empire State. See, Jersey's different. They laugh at Jersey, but Jersey's got a lot of history. People forget it's part of 13 colonies. When I'm talking about old America, those places have places. They were named these names for a reason. Just like Massachusetts and Boston. I always talk about that. The racism, everything else. It has a history of the Boston Neck and all that stuff. You want to talk about Beacon Hill. That's old shit that y'all know nothing about. You gotta do some history and reading. See, I read. And then you got Philadelphia, the violent city in the world. Before there was niggas. That city was a capital one time. People died in the snow all the time. That was a violent place to get your life up. But in Philly, you gotta learn to deal with that shit. You had to hold your own shit. That's any state. But see, the state I come from is not part of 13 colonies. That's an old southern state that has a history of the wilderness. Born to Andrew Jackson, Nathan Bedford Forrest with the Blue Raiders and the Klan in Memphis somewhere. But that state has a lot of history of bloodshed as well. So yeah, a lot of places got histories and paramount's. Chicago's well renowned. Me and my father talked about that the other day. He said people like those beef sausages, pork sausages all day. food, all that stuff. And what he was telling me, that's how Chicago was. But I've been by Chicago. My dad's been to Chicago a couple of times, and we got family up there on my father's side. But I've been by there like once, and I realized something is what it was. We was stopping at a McDonald's one time. We was going to St. Louis. Be more specific. It was back in '98. I was 10 at the time. I said, "Damn, those tall buildings in Chicago was huge." But see, we was in Chicago, but we didn't stay. You know what I'm saying? I should have stayed and learned something about Chicago. But it was violent back in '98 with the gangs and stuff. Despite the other stuff, crime was up. Yeah, Jersey and New York City are similar, but New York State is completely different. That's the entire state and completely different vibes. Okay, I see your perspective. This is the first time I've heard Jersey is laughed at, sir. Oh, you're only he said you're only the South. Yeah, I mean, it was laughed at, but quiet as kept from my experience from Jersey people that migrate down here to get away from wherever it is in Jersey. Not bad people compared to New York people. I mean, it depends on what type of five boroughs you're talking about. And the New York people that I've met down here, like a lot of them come from places like Harlem. I mean, BK people's they're okay. I ain't got no issue with BK people. But then you got your Bronx people. Bronx people can be they out there. They wild. But they're understandable. I think I met one Bronx person. He dated my aunt. He was decent. And then the people from Queens is cool. They the most chill people in the world, but they ain't about no games either. So that whole Long Island, I think the cap city's from there. Yeah, the whole state of New York is decent. You know, it's not as bad as people think. I mean, it has a little overratedness and the bickering and all that stuff. But one thing I understand about New York is though, quiet as kept, they keep it a bucket for you. You know, they've always been consistent. I've met one years ago. I forget what part he was from. I think he was from BK. And that's how they are, man. But Jersey, my perspective, they're not bad people. I always got along with Jersey people. I don't know what it is. Got used to the Garden State. You know, I ain't never been, but it's a whole nother story on that on Jersey. Yeah, Jersey, PA has somewhat slept history of slave. Yeah, they all do. They migrated back and forth in trade, but you know, but those states, if you go before slavery, it's a lot of bloodshed during the American Revolutionary War. Those states have prominence. I mean, we're talking about history of those cities. They what they known for. People just came. They're afterthought at this point. And the slavery, agree. What you mean? Be specific. New York. Oh, I'm talking about. If you're talking about Long Island or northern part of New York, I will say that. I'm gonna be more specific. I think is that. But when you're talking about the five boroughs, I'm talking about the five boroughs in general. Like my perspective of them is different from y'all's, is because talking to them in other states, if they have the accents now, if I ever visit for the first time, I have to look at the city for what it is. I have to get a taste of the experience. There's other places in the five boroughs, but I think Wacky explained that last night with Bronzebird and whatever. He had a stream. They from there. They can tell you better than I can. But my experience dealing with them out of state where they from, the ones that travel, not bad people. I mean, Jersey, yeah, you got North Jersey, you got South Jersey, and what's the one they say it's other places in Jersey. I've heard people. I think I met people that's from White Plains. Some people from Orange, East Rutherford. What else? Camden. You know, Camden's rough. That's on the line with Philly. That's weird to me. That's the turnpike, but I ain't gonna get into that. That's a whole nother. So I won't have the conversation with somebody if he's from Camden or Philly. That's an interesting conversation. But I subscribe to a podcast called Devin Wade Show. They from Camden, even though he lives in Philly. Very interesting. I didn't know they was that close. And then Jersey was like, yeah, that's the north. Yeah, yeah. And then when I look at Jersey on the map, Yeah, Camden South, and then that's the North. Yeah, North Jersey people, I never had an issue with them. They have a different um, vernacular, similar to the South, but they have a different vernacular. Their cadence is different. Their presence, the way they come to you and stuff. South Jersey is a little different. I mean, a lot of people think they're rough and everything. Yeah, on the edges, but when you get them in the conversation, it's not that bad. I mean, Jersey has its days. They actually had a movie called New Jersey Drive. You know, the carjacking and shit. I was like, that's one demeaning thing I've heard about Jersey as a kid coming up. That's one thing bad what you see public on TV that was bad about Jersey. Jersey never gets no positive uh, vibes from it. And I think most New Yorkers diss Jersey a lot. It's the five boroughs specifically. I don't know if it's north or south. I gotta be specific. I gotta talk to Wacky about who gets dissed the most in the Northeast. And we're gonna ask that question one day. I might have to open up a panel on that on Thursday, something like that. We can talk about that or something. Because I want to be specific. I want to be fair. Because if I visit both states, I got to get that perspective. Because Philly, I already know Philly gets it in. Because I got family in Philly. I got an uncle that's from Jamaican Queens. My dad told me I had an uncle or something like that, or great uncle, or whatever. And he's from Jamaican Queens. Interesting. Interesting. I didn't know that. See, my dad's got a lot of cousins on his family. That's the fucked up thing. They from up north and everything. Cause our people's all over. I think from Virginia and up there, yeah. I ain't gonna get into that. That's a whole nother spiel on my family lineage and shit. But I sound like an FBA nigga right now. Fez wearing dude, but I can't. Camden and Philly's next to each other. Yep. Camden's part of Philly, Delaware, and Valley area. Yeah, degenerate. You're absolutely correct. I've heard someone say that. It's weird, but it's the turnpike. People forget about that turnpike. I've heard about that. Someone told me about the turnpike. We're 5 minutes off the bridge. New York City and North Jersey accents are similar. We are more alike than not. Yeah, we actually rock with each other. But I know because I'm born and raised in Jersey. Oh, okay. Y'all do okay in that part. Yeah, it depends. Because most New Yorkers are weird. Some of them could be transplants, but they always get disrespected by other people. I never understood why Jersey get the most hate. I'm talking about back in the day when I was growing up in the South, how y'all was portrayed. But I think up there you do rock with the ones like Nadia said. That's true. They do that specific Jersey and things like that. So yeah, it's no beef. Y'all similar. Y'all similar. Y'all very similar. I think you're talking about Camden. Yeah, y'all stick together for some reason. But New York, like different parts of New York, I don't know because I don't know who likes who and what. But besides out of that, I don't know how that works. But the Mid Atlantic's different. And that's when we get into the Baltimores, the DCs, the Virginias. That's a whole nother story. I think I talked about that before last year. I think I talked about that last year. Let me see. I think Wacky's from one of those areas, but the Ghost got a better perspective. The captain's got a better perspective. Now that he's from New York. There's a lot of people from the tri-state. I haven't been. That's the state I'm trying to understand. Yeah, metropolitan. Yeah. Well, speaking of cities in the South, if you're going to talk about the South, okay, I give you example. Let's talk about GA for a minute. Let's talk about GA. Let's talk about GA for a minute. Because since we're talking about states, this is a good topic right here. That's why how Southern see us, but Jersey has always been respected. Yeah, in the North, yeah, I agree, Nadia. That yeah, y'all always been respected. I would say where I'm originally from, y'all respect it. It's just I don't know, man. Like you got other people saying they this and that. Like the media portrays y'all different. But if I visit Jersey, I'll say, "Oh, Jersey's straight. Ain't nothing wrong with Jersey." I don't know what they, but I the media is something else. But that's what happens when you're young. You don't know much about the state. Once you visit it, and I give you example about. I got a story for y'all. Kansas. I thought Kansas was, you know, decent, right? I think I told y'all this before when I was 10, and that's let me tell you something about Kansas. I love Kansas City, but Topeka, Kansas is trash. Topeka, Kansas is trash, and you heard it here first. Back in '98, it was boring as a motherfucker. I thought Salt Lake's probably boring in Utah, but in Kansas, state of Kansas and Topeka, Kansas is fucking boring. I think my dad's one of his friends in his workplace lived out there, and we was just visiting whatever because we was in St. Louis and learned about the Midwest. I didn't think it was that boring. See, you thought you live in the Midwest, go to the Midwest, go to Kansas, and come back to them. That shit's boring, bro. I ain't never. It was nothing to do for a 10-year-old. I had a fit. I was pissed. Cornfields, nice house. Like, what the fuck? I ain't used to that shit. Two different cities, but despite being only an hour away from each other, yeah, respected. And it's just what it is. But like I said, I went to that state. It was boring as hell. Like that's what I got from Topeka, Kansas. But Kansas City's nice. Well, Nadia, okay, I give you an idea about Tennessee. We're gonna get into that in a minute because that's where I'm originally from, anyway. Okay, Kansas is boring compared to where I'm from, and I learned a lesson about the mid. See, I'm from the mid South, but in the Midwest, I had to learn quick. I was 10 at this time. You got to remember, this is back in '98, and this is before my sister was born. So back then it was a little different back then. This is after Pac died and everything. This is when we had our first fleet of snow in January. This is somewhere around the summertime or some shit. So yeah, you gotta understand. Yeah, if you want to see Tennessee, I'll give you an example. Naughty, back in my dad's time, Tennessee was rough, but quiet as it's kept. It's not a bad state. It's not a bad state. The best places in Tennessee is usually the west side, and there's Clarksville, that's northwest of Tennessee. And then Memphis, that's the south. That's where everybody's familiar with. Could these dudes down here just don't know nothing about our state like that. So you got 95 counties in that state. Memphis is in Shelby. If you see a license plate in Tennessee in Shelby, that's Memphis. If you see a license plate called Davison, that's Nashville. That's Middle Tennessee. That's somewhere above the county above me. Because I'm from Sumner. I'm from a small town. So even though Nashville's in Davison, there's only respectable size. The hoods is East Nashville and North Nashville. The rich side of Nashville is West Nashville. West Nashville is Brentwood. That's all the white boys got all that money. And them Jews and everything. They got the money. South Nashville is with the Latin people, the brown Americans. I don't use the term Hispanic because they're not real Spanish people. I don't consider them Spaniards. I'd say this. A Spaniard looked down on the brown people years ago back in 2010. I'll tell y'all a story about that. He looked at the Mexicans, man, and didn't acknowledge them as Spanish people. He just didn't. He had a dirty, dirty look. This was back in. He smiled at me but looked down on them. It was in the Lenox Mall. I saw that shit. That's a damn shame. They still don't respect them. They see the indigenous bloodline. I don't think they acknowledge them like that. And they got fucked up over there in Spain too. People don't tell you that. They ain't gonna tell you that, but them people over there don't fuck with them like that. They treat them like niggas, man. Yeah, you can speak Spanish, but you don't speak the proper Spanish. It's different levels of it. See, my dad don't know Spanish like that. He do, but he don't know real Spanish. It's different levels to that language. Y'all do know that because they done change the shit every time overseas. That's why I don't care for Spain. They look down on uh, Mexicans and everybody else. I never understood it. It took me a while when I was 22 at the time when I was in 2010 here in the state of Georgia. See, I see a lot of ethnics here. In case y'all know, Georgia has a lot of ethnics here. Tennessee does not. We didn't start getting the ethnics, I would say 80s. And the first Salvadorian kid I saw was in the early 2000s. So the brown people came later. They were like the last breed. And then we had Sudanese, a fluxion of them when I was in school. They came from the San Francisco area, but one of them came from Southern Sudan. Those are my teammates and stuff. So I know them from way back. So I know some people up there. So she said, yeah, it is. The food is. The barbecue is for real, especially in Memphis. There's good barbecue in the middle part of Tennessee, but there's another city I like. It's in Rutherford County. It's called Murfreesboro. But I didn't think it was that racist. There's this one Mexican salesman named Raul told me they was fucking with him for 7 months. Guy inside his head burning niggas up like we roasting, look down on people and shit. He couldn't take it. I thought it was the white boys. Come to find out, same complexion. It's a damn shame. We're so territorial. That state is very territorial. That state is so territorial, it's not even funny. They about them hands, feet, and that dumb gunplay. So that state is very locked and loaded. And I believe it's open. Yeah, it's open carry. It's open carry. Tennessee's wild like that. I grew born and raised. Knoxville is more like Athens, Georgia. It's got the different timeline. It's got the Eastern timeline in Georgia. So when you're in Middle Tennessee and West Tennessee, it's got the Central timeline. See, I grew up in the Central, so the time in Central timeline would be 10:08 right now. So that's the thing. So it'll be 9:08 Central time, be 10:08 regular time, like we had last week. And the reason being is a big difference how I moved here from up there. And I'll tell you the big difference was. Central time, everything was pitch black at night and broad daylight. You know, we had the same daylight in the sun, right? But when you get to the Eastern time, that Atlantic coast wind and all that shit, the windshields and all that, I ain't used to that shit. But I see how y'all did it up there. But here, to me, as a mid southerner, that was hard to adapt to for the first 2 years. And I learned a lesson that East Coast is like that. But if I went up to New York or somewhere in Jersey, yeah, it's super cold. But I didn't understand that then. See, I had to learn the difference between the two. They do. They do. And let's see. I want to go to Memphis, but the hood food spots, I know that food is raw. Yeah, it is. Memphis is not bad. I've been last time I've been to Memphis was back in '89 when I was a young little boy. I have cousins out in Memphis. So I can tell you about Tennessee. I can tell you about the middle very well. The middle's not bad. The middle is the most racist. A lot of people think it's the West and the East. No, middle's the most racist. I'll tell you. See, I think I told y'all about um um Red Bowling Springs about niggas getting eat up and fucked up. Told me that when I was in high school. It's in Macon County. Just be careful. That's a sundown town area. If y'all black in here, you would know that niggas would do some barbaric shit, but the white boys, they ain't playing. They execute niggas on sight. And that state is still racist today because in the middle, they control the politics and everything. So Nashville is kind of loose out there. It's changed, but it's loose out there. So yeah, there's a lot of good places in Tennessee to live. Living wise, you could. There's no income tax. You could stay there long term and go back to where you come from and just back and forth and grow your own business out there. You know, that state is not really doing much. It's like it reminds you a little bit of like Ohio and everybody else and a mix of everything else. But the state in general, the people, it depends on the transplants we get, they come from the West Coast. Mix a little, from New York and whatever and other places. But we don't get a lot of ethnics in that state. Because I'm originally from there, but I live in GA now. But in Tennessee, it's a different ball game. It's a different ball game. Yeah, they in the South like that in general. Yeah, they've always had, along with the Mexicans, beefing with each other. Yeah, it is. Well, you said Nashville don't give you that smoke vibe. Yeah, it depends on what part of Nashville you go to, Nadia. I'll tell you a secret. If you go to East Nashville with the projects, oh yeah, oh yeah, you get them hood vibes. North Nashville is a hood too. That's the dead end. I forget what it's called. I know a guy named Corey Lewis told me about that. So I'm familiar with Davidson County. I've been to Davidson since I was a kid. So the county above me is where I'm originally from, even though Davidson is right on the bottom. So I'm familiar with the middle. You can ask me anything about Middle Tennessee. I already know where Hartsville is. That's Trousdale County. Wilson County, that's Lebanon, Tennessee. I'm familiar with that region. You can ask me anything about that above there. And Corey Brewer's from Portland, Tennessee. His school and my school are rivals. I know his aunt. My mom and his aunt were friends in the workplace. Addie Brewer, be specific. A lot of people don't know that. I know his aunt. So I know Corey Brewer. I've seen him. He dropped 27 points a game in high school. He was good in college, but he's from Portland, Tennessee. He went to Portland High School. I'll tell you about him very well. You talking about Rutherford County? Yeah, the Smyrna plant. Yeah, it's still out there. There's a Smyrna, Tennessee. That's in Rutherford County. That's right next to Murfreesboro and things like that. I've been to Rutherford several times. Been to the college campus. My dad went to school to MTSU. I think I told y'all about the Nathan Bedford story statue. They took that shit down in the early 70s. It was a guy named President Walker, a black dude, told him take that shit down. Told it to my dad's peoples in college. Yeah. I honestly think I've never seen a Mexican before in my life. I met Central Americans and all that. Mexicans, degenerate, they just regular people, man. Regular people. They just normal. They got their little cultures, especially in Georgia. They're just they're just they're just normal people. They're not assholes like you think. And these Mexicans, they actually come from the northern part that's come here. Some of them do come here illegal, and some do have the green card papers. There's some back and forth with two states where I used to live in. Well, I still live in GA, but in Tennessee as well. We have a lot of them in Tennessee, but it's a lot of them in Georgia is here illegally. And most Georgians don't like Mexicans. I've noticed that when I used to work at by the Braves Stadium, they ain't like Mexicans. It goes black and white. They ain't like Mexicans. I never understood that. That's where you see all the Mexican hate is really in GA. I don't know about Tennessee, not so much. They take jobs that everybody else don't want to work. They'll take the farms and stuff, and the Salvadorans, they be competing. Housing, real estate, auto dealership. Yeah. So yeah, those people are not as bad as you think. Now the mother brown ones, I question them. Now Puerto Ricans down here, they're decent. I ain't met none of 'em, up north. That's a whole nother story. But Dominicans, that's a whole nother story. I haven't, dealt with them like that. I dealt with them in other places, but not no um in a setting. It's kind of weird. I have to move around a little bit. I don't talk to many of them like that. Yeah, but black folks, they treat everybody the same. Piss on if you're in the hood, whatever. But other black folks, they don't really care for them like that. So Brazilians, I haven't dealt with them either. That'll be my first time. We got them here too. We just don't communicate. It depends. Oh, you met them in SoCal? Yeah, it's a lot of them. It's a lot of them in SoCal. It's a lot of them in SoCal. It's a lot of them. I met one that's a salesperson from there, but he lived in Tennessee for like 7 months in Murfreesboro. Had a bad experience. That's shame on you, man. You just gotta be built for it. Tennessee's a territorial state. That whole state is territorial, especially the middle. It changes a lot. I grew up like that. That's why I'm like half fucked up and try to get away from that shit and learn to do me. As a black man, it's okay to adapt. Georgia, one thing I like about Georgia, it's not as bad as people think. It's actually a little safe. It's just the city of Atlanta, the nigga shit ain't safe because the crime rate is up and down. I won't speak about that in the future because my experience of Georgia is a little different than everybody else. Now the city's up and down. I don't get involved in the nigga shit. It's too vast. You got a lot of illiterate derelicts here on all counties, but quiet as it's kept, Georgia's not as bad as you think. You're a lot safer down here than any other state. Tax wise, you're good. That's why it's a lot of opportunity and jobs and stuff. That's why Mike V preaches that so much. In the brain trust him and complex. Georgia's not as bad as people think. You just gotta do the business and get the fuck up out of here. That's one thing I understand about. I'll say Cobb and Fulton and everybody else in those counties. You gotta just it's in and out, in and out. The other counties they're decent, but the state as a whole, my experience is not as bad as people think. It's a lot to see in Georgia. I haven't seen half of Georgia. I need to see a lot this year. We need to see a lot what's in Georgia because Georgia, it's got a lot of shit I have not seen. So other parts of the world, I'm in Cobb County specifically, Kennesaw in that region, and Ackworth and all that. So it's not bad neighborhoods, decent people. They treat you with respect. You got brown people here, it could be Mexicans, whatever, Latin people. It's not bad. My experience, they don't harm me. That's just my experience. Yeah, yeah, degenerate. Yeah, they always, yeah. Every island that you could think of from the map of the globe. From Saint Lucia, I seen this in a parade, 2013. Um, from Venezuela, damn near. My first parade in 2013 at the CNN building. I actually got an old pre-record based off that. I was there. I was a hell of a parade, and that was a 25th anniversary. That started back in 1988 when I was born. It was like that. My dad kept asking the question, why do black folks don't celebrate their little traditions like that? It's because it is what it is, man. You gotta understand, like, we got our music, we just don't rock with them like that, especially in the South. I try to tell them in the South, black folks just look at them as foreigners. It's weird, it's fucked up as y'all think. See, up north, they don't care, but here, we're not as pro extreme black like that. We're pro black based off of the Nat Turner pro black. We're kind of like we're in that type of fucking realm. We're like Black on Wall Street or something like that. Georgia and Tennessee, they're based like the Wall Streets from the Oklahomas and all that. Y'all need to read Black Georgia. I have that pre-record too on Black Georgia. I explain why it's like that. That's how black folks' mindset is in a state like that. But you do have a lot of black transplants where they like where Nadia's from and everybody else. You see a lot of those, and even where I'm from, it's a lot of black transplants from the U.S., Caribbean, um, England, motherfucking places that you wouldn't thought. And then you got other races like your East Indians, of course, Russians, all types of people, Ukrainians. We got the whole fucking Eastern world, damn near. Georgia's got a lot of fucking ethnics. It's an ethnic state. It's already been assimilated. That's why you could compare it to DMV a little bit. Kuda doesn't know what he's talking about. If he came down here, he'll shut the fuck up. It's a lot of women you could choose from. See, I seen it. He can't tell me nothing. I seen it. I seen it years ago. It was like that. When I first came in '07, I didn't see that as much. It was new to me. But over the years, I started seeing it more when I start going to other areas. Like, God damn, they done took certain, you you thought this was black, but you realize no, it's ethnic, man. It's changed. Times change, man. It's a community, man. Anywhere there's opportunity, you'll see people evolved. Yeah, you that part, Nadia, that part. Yeah, see, you get it. Yeah, it's not so shocking. Once I saw that, I say in my third year, and the more I lived in Georgia, Nadia, about at least my first 3 years, I realized I learned to accept it. I said, from a kid from a small town that's isolated with just black and white and a few Mexicans and Sudanese and everybody else, from here is a big leap. It's a big leap where I come from. And it's very, very different. It's very different. That's a huge leap from where I come from, and it just shows you, yeah, like you said, it's opportunities. Exactly what it is, and I don't get mad about it because I realize I see this shit a lot. And stuff Kuda's saying is similar where he's at, but see, he's used to it. He's grew up in a culture like this. See, I didn't have that back in the day. It was just us, white folks. If you was foreign, you was like a minority. You didn't exist. So in the 2000s, that changed. Assimilation was coming. You already had it in Jordan everywhere else, but Tennessee didn't have it. Then you start seeing more. When I went back years ago, a few years back, Tennessee has been assimilated. You got all types of ethnics up there now. Places you don't see in small cities. That's the fucked up part about it. Then you learn to get used to it, like Nadia said, and that's absolutely correct. Great, she said, where there are opportunities to create businesses such as landscaping, etc. You'll find Latino people. That's correct. And she said, quality of life living sucks up north for the most, but not all, but most financially it's a pit. Yes, a financial pit. Yeah, exactly. Especially in New York area, the financial district. Most migrated south to gain quality of living. Yeah, that's true. That part, what she just said, I agree with. I've always said that, always preached that on the channel. That's the number one thing they look at Georgia. It's the quality of living. Once you get assimilated, it's over. They'll always. Me and my father talked about gentrification. He said it is gentrification, but it's actually assimilating. You know what I mean? Good morning, Shar. Good morning. Good morning. It's similar to the Bay Area and Tri in Texas. Well, I see Bay Area for y'all. Y'all have a lot of Bay Area mixture. Texas, I wouldn't count that. They late. They ain't always been that way. You're talking about Houston, but the rest of Texas wasn't always like that. No, it was like most Texans will tell you. It's just like where the state I come from a little bit. You didn't have that many demographics. They came later. Texas have them, but they don't have as much. See, brown people don't count. They've always been there. The other races done killed it all and changed it. So Texas is different. It's gonna be blue for the rest of the decade. Same with Georgia and Tennessee. Tennessee goes that route, it's over. But like I said, being a mid '90s millennial growing up in the 2000s, I saw damn near half of the world. Yeah, it's like that here, man. Like I was born in the late '80s, came here in '07. A lot of ethnics. Yeah, and Jersey, New York has everybody, but we see y'all down here more because y'all bring them. And most of those ethnics come where you from, Nadia. They come from Jersey and shit. I said, what the fuck? That's why I don't have an issue with people in Jersey. Jersey's different. They're similar. It depends on what Jersey you from. Like you said, be specific. Is it North Jersey, South Jersey? Like New York's different based off territory. I think it's Long Island and things like that. Yeah, melting pot of cultures. Yeah, of course, automatic. If you think of Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, the Baltimore region, part of the DMV, the Maryland region, you think of things like that. and the Virginia region, and then all the way through. I don't know about Maine and Massachusetts. That's all nother stuff. But Massachusetts, my fault. Boston, Mass. Yeah, you got different cultures. Someone told me that. I met a Puerto Rican that used to work in the dealership. Say, yeah, Boston's like that. Boston's a nice city. That's what he told me. I ain't been to Boston. A lot of people say it's racist. Yeah, it's historically racist, but I want to see it for myself. I got to see Boston for myself. Let me be the judge of that. But in the South, it's in your face. So yeah, that's racism. Other parts. I think me and my father talked about that. Yeah. 14,000 in the hood. So imagine the suburb. Yeah, yeah, y'all got higher tax. Yeah. See, now you get it. You get it. See, even though you from Jersey, you get it. See, you got them numbers on deck. I can't speak for y'all. I have to go visit and examine for my damn self. Say, I'm just saying, if I visit, I gotta see it for myself. What's so great about it? Am I gonna like it? Because there's a lot of misconception about Jersey. Because Jersey's always been, to me, my perspective, them people, they're good people. It's just there's some pros and cons to every state, even mine's. I got to do a stream on that about just be careful in Tennessee like that because a lot of people are very territorial. There's some friendly people in Tennessee. Don't get me wrong. If you know the people, I'll give you an example. If you stay there for like 5 years, they'll fuck with you. About 3 to 5 years, they'll fuck with you. First 2 years is tough, but 3 to 5 years, they'll fuck with you. I mean, it's like that in any state, but 3 to 5 years, they'll fuck with you. If you're thorough, they want to see where your heart is and everything else. Certain they weird like that. Georgia, when I came here, it's not even like that. It's just blend in, get the fuck out of here. The other states is territory. You gotta watch them, man. It is what it is. What's going on, TC Killer? What's going on, man? Oh yeah, yeah. We see them a lot in Georgia, man. They are some real assholes, but I understand. I don't pay them no mind. I just laugh at them. Oh, they real annoying. They everywhere in Georgia, in GA, especially in Italian restaurants, and work in the city work here. We all get a double tax for it. Yeah, yeah, I can imagine. That's fucked up. Damn, I didn't know y'all was that close on the map. It's like, see, I have to go up north to see what's what, and I have to talk to actual people, because talking to y'all makes sense, but I gotta see the actual people. I've talked to y'all that live here, but up there, I want to see what that's like, because I ain't gonna live there long term. No, it's nice to visit, but I would never live there. Nah, I ain't gonna risk that because New York had their own problems. Jersey's got their own problems. I respect the reputation. They're respected. It's just they gonna have their little issues like everybody else. So it's kind of like in the South, we have our issues. Like Tennessee's got surrounded. Say, yeah, you got Georgia on the bottom. You got the Carolinas. You got Kentucky. Kentucky's nice. I've been to Kentucky. Kentucky's not a bad state. I've been to Louisville twice. I've been to Lexington once. Been to Franklin. Kentucky's all right. It's not as bad as people think. Kentucky's all right. Been to Alabama. Been to the space at Huntsville. It was hot that year too. I was like 5. It was about 93, the hottest summer of the year. It's a 93. It's a long time ago. That's a whole nother, story on that. Yeah, man. Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine. So if you okay, so you say BX Jersey. Oh damn, you close to if you close to that's not even that far. Yeah, because y'all next to each other. On the map, New York looks like a fucking hat. Funny size shape, the way it's shaped. Jersey looks like a damn J, and that makes sense then. That turnpike. I don't know what is y'all's turnpikes, man. I gotta do some research. Is the turnpike real? Has to be because y'all so close. It's kind of like in the South we don't have a turnpike, but there's a road and land. I don't know how states are, but states it's just territory. Really, it's just really territory. You know, ain't that much. But counties, quiet as kept. Counties, um, everything's close. Territory. You have to find that marker. There's ethnic day parades here in GA. There is. It's a lot of Caribbeans. I see a lot. I've been to three of those 3 years straight. Been from 2013 to 2015. The last two they split off. The woman wanted some money. It was some crazy ass shit. What's going on? All right, salute, salute. And the reason being, it was over some BS. She wanted some money, and then family, and it's silly shit. Like I see the nigga shit in them too, but they was from the islands that y'all don't always go in certain territories. Some of them say they from those actual places. Some of them are from places that y'all know, like Port-au-Prince, whatever, or then other cities. They all different. The first time I met them in 2013 when I was like 25, and then over the years, they keep moving around. But they're familiar with GA. They familiar with New York, Toronto, London. They familiar with Canada, London, England, somewhere. They're everywhere. But quiet as kept, they're familiar with GA. They have a history since '88 and prior. So they familiar with Florida and everything else. They familiar with Tennessee and Nashville. There ain't that many in Nashville. It's a lot in GA. In the DeKalb County area. That's a little community in DeKalb County out in East Atlanta. And then they got another Caribbean spot in Smyrna and Cobb. They everywhere. And the cab shit in Atlanta, them and the Africans work separate fairs. They figured it out. And then the niggas is on the back end. It's just what it is. Yeah, the casual. That's what you get. We got them too, General. We got them too, and a lot of and we met some DC people. They decent. They told me about DC. My dad's been to DC since '83 on a business trip, back and forth to Baltimore and DC, where it was before the niggas changed it. There was some racists up there ran, try to stop him from moving in. So he know about that. I can tell you a story about him. He can tell you about the '80s. He can tell you about the '80s with Baltimore and DMV and all that stuff. He can tell you about that. He got pictures to prove that. If y'all had a conversation with him, he'll tell you. So it's what it was. And he ain't lying either. So he's been to Detroit. I haven't been to Detroit. He's been to Detroit since the '70s with his peoples. And Detroit in the '70s was a lot rough. Cops tried to pull him over back then. Yeah, the '70s was rough back then. He saw Atlanta, what you see in DMV, the cops pulling up. He saw that in the early '80s. He saw that in '81 when Atlanta was Atlanta. Before Martin Luther King became a symbol later on, a national symbol, you start to see a lot of ethnics come through. That's why. You didn't see that many in the '80s. When he became a symbol, that came later on. See, GA has this history. They ahead of us, where I come from, to say the 13 colonies, um, states that you know in the United States. We always on the back end, but we're ahead of them in the agriculture and the other shit. But when it comes to politics and getting things done, GA's got us beat. Educational system, they're the most educated here versus where we come from. We're the least educated. But the '80s school system and the manual shit, the engineering, we got them beat. When it comes to snows and shit, like there's actual snow and bad weathers and shit, we got them beat. Trees, we got them beat. Environmental shit, we got them beat. GA's so behind on that shit. They too fucking classic. That's why GA is so damn stubborn. You can't tell people from GA a damn thing. That goes for black and white, born and raised, and transplants that been here for decades after decades. You gotta leave niggas alone. You gotta leave people alone. Just gotta let them be who they are. That's one thing I learned about GA. You mind your business, be respectful. People fuck with you, go on about your day. That's the whole East Coast, damn near. It's my perspective. I mean, it gets a lot of flack, but you deal with it. West Coast people are different to me. Some of them are decent. I met some in the Bay. They're decent. There's some LA people are decent. You got a lot. It depends on where you at. And then I got some cousins in Portland, Oregon, but it's like off my father's side of the family. So I haven't been to Portland. I would love to see Portland. But I have a cousin named Frank crying his way to Seattle, but that's a whole nother story. Y'all be laughing at that one. My dad told me that story, man. I was dying, bro. Ain't much in Seattle. So yeah, I got some folks out west too. You got offspring cousins from Philly, even though they live in LA. It was supposed to have a family reunion in LA, but that didn't happen. We got so caught up with some family shit and get a chance. That's when I should have visited LA then. Missed my chance, but I'll visit, but I'll never live there. You wouldn't pay me to live that place, man. It's too much. But we already know what the problem is in LA. It's it is political, but it's comedy. It's the culture, man. I think the culture should change. It don't always have to be racist or gang based. It has to change. You gotta do something, but it depends on the people. Here's the thing: you can't change people culture. I learned this too by living here. You can't do that. You know what I noticed and I stopped doing? Stop acknowledging people. Just acknowledge the ones that's gonna fuck with you. And I noticed this about the state of GA. They're the same way. They keep it to themselves from a distance, and they keep going around and talk again, and then they just do their thing. Other states will start doing that and have a real history. Yeah, make it paramount. See, nowadays they don't want to hear all the great things you did in the past. What you're doing now. So in this state, that's what they're looking at. I ain't worrying about you. I'm doing what the fuck I'm doing right now. You ain't worrying about the shit over there. They don't respect that. You gotta. The politics gotta be right. Because what we saw the last election 2 years ago, people are tired of hearing that shit. Do something about it. Yeah, it's true. In the West Coast and have a history. Yeah, it's like that in Nashville too. We had some Hondurans and Salvadorans came to Tennessee years ago. Yeah, America was changing then in the South. Quiet as kept, but not as much. Mexicans came on the tail end. We had them, but they didn't exist. Not in no small towns like that where I'm from. No, most of their asses from the West Coast, low riding and shit. Now you see them everywhere, no issues. So black people's not mixing with them like in great numbers. No, it's a small portion. I mean, they are mixing, having babies by 'em, but not marrying them really. Make them the new baby mamas and Keishas, which is not good. That's why niggas be in these spaces start crying a lot. Well, it's a lot of pussy out there around the world and here. You just gotta show up. But niggas don't want to hear me though. Especially in Georgia. It's too much ass down here. Yeah, we got a lot of fruits and toaster ovens down here, but it ain't that many. They kill each other like roaches in Midtown. And see, I told y'all about this too on streams. They do kill each other. The ones that's on the same sex, they do blow each other's brains out with guns and shit. They be on some nigga shit. I gotta tell y'all this story. In 2010, there was a couple. It was a same sexual couple. I think it was a white guy. He was a female, and the black guys was killing each other. They were the men. They were the masculine men over a white dude. It's in Midtown. I think this was 2010. This is like years ago. It's decades ago. This is when I was like 22 at the time. Start living hard of Atlanta as we speak in the apartment complex. When I heard that on the news, my dad was telling me about it. Killed each other over some dick, man. Crazy shit. holding his hand and shit. Yeah, it's some wild shit. He was laughing about that shit. Like he didn't care because we're from the mid south. We don't care for those type of people like that. They tried to do that shit in Tennessee years ago in the late '90s. That didn't work. But in Georgia, you see that a lot. It's not just the city; they're everywhere in the state of Georgia. So you don't really say much in Georgia. You have a lot of them running around. So be mindful of GA has a lot of them versus straight. So let's just keep it that way. Obviously, GA is not like that, but that's not true. They are. Ever since Obama gave them rights, everybody start coming out. That Bradley Manning shit, everybody start coming out. Wasn't like that before when I first came here. No, they broadcast that shit. And I first found that out in '09 when the guy was from GA, from somewhere else, a different city. He said it's like that. They just don't tell the truth. So you always had that presence. There's a guy named Lee Hampton. He's one of them. Been here for like state of Georgia for 30 years. Said it's a lot of them. That's a whole nother conversation I don't want to hear. You can't blame one city. You gotta blame the state. So I know what I'm talking about. In the state of Georgia, you know it's a lot of fruits down here and toast down here. They got certain jobs, man. Law enforcement, everything, hospitals and shit. They ain't supposed to have them jobs. Shit. Motherfucker, they have all had them jobs. The fuck is you talking about, Pee Wee? They don't care nothing about you or me. And I'll tell you something, it's very political. They stick together. But the niggas don't stick together. They worry about some dumb shit. So it's bad out here in certain parts of Georgia. I had to speak on about that a little bit. I wish I had that library book to tell y'all about Black Georgia. I might do a outside stream talk about my experience in GA and other people that treat me better. It's really the transplants. It's not the ones born and raised here. They can be assholes here. I'll acknowledge them here. They're already being depleted. And the rest of them just moved out like a bunch of cowards and didn't want to build a fucking community. That goes for black and white. They're cowards. They move away like that. I'm just telling it like it is. They had so much opportunity, they blew it. It could have been a metropolis or some shit, but they didn't want that. You can't expect for the USA to grow. Certain individuals is dumb. Let's just keep it 1,000, man. It's what it is. It is what it ain't. Yeah, they are. But that's just them degenerate. Yeah, I've been on here for an hour, so shouts out to everybody. Degenerate, Nadia, Art. Y'all check them out. Shar, Tyrone. Who else came through? Shouts out to everybody, man. Appreciate all the support. And Arab Black, of course. Appreciate you again. And who else came through? It was Nadia and Degenerate in the chat talking. What's up, boy? At? And shouts out to Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson. Appreciate you, man. Yeah, I'll check your shit out. I'll check your shit out. So with that, I want to say peace and shalom. Oh hell, Great Skull, and I'm out.